A further review of a federal court decision typically falls under the jurisdiction of appellate courts, primarily the U.S. Courts of Appeals and, in certain cases, the U.S. Supreme Court. The jurisdiction for reviewing federal court decisions depends on the type of case, the level of court that issued the decision, and whether the matter involves constitutional or statutory interpretation. Jurisdiction of the U.S. Courts of Appeals. Most federal court decisions are subject to review by the U.S. Courts of Appeals, also known as circuit courts. The U.S. is divided into 13 federal circuits, each covering specific geographic regions or specialized subject matters. When a party is dissatisfied with a decision made by a U.S. District Court trial-level federal court, they typically appeal the decision to the appropriate circuit court. These appellate courts have jurisdiction over cases involving federal statutes, constitutional matters, and administrative law rulings. The appellate court reviews the lower court's decision for legal errors, but does not hold a new trial or consider new evidence. Instead, it evaluates whether the trial court correctly applied the law. The ruling of the Court of Appeals is usually final unless the case qualifies for further review by the U.S. Supreme Court. Jurisdiction of the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court is the highest appellate court in the country and has the authority to review decisions from both federal and state courts that involve significant constitutional questions or federal law. However, the Supreme Court exercises discretionary jurisdiction, meaning it selects which cases to review. Most cases reach the Supreme Court through a writ of certiorari, a petition asking the court to review a lower court decision. The Supreme Court grants certiorari in only a small fraction of cases, typically those involving conflicts between different circuit courts, significant constitutional issues, or matters of national importance. Review by Banc panels and specialty courts. In some instances, a case may undergo further review within the same appellate court through an Banc hearing, where all judges of a circuit reconsider a decision made by a smaller panel. Additionally, specialized federal courts, such as the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, have jurisdiction over particular matters like patent law and international trade, and their decisions may be reviewed by the Supreme Court. Ultimately, further review of a federal court decision falls under the jurisdiction of the appellate courts, culminating in the Supreme Court if the case meets the necessary criteria. For a